Inspire me to be the highest me, mommy motivation. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are new here, I'm Z. I am a homeschool mom of 3. I share lessons in faith, family, and fulfillment, hoping that by sharing my lessons, it helps you to embrace your own. Today's vid is all about making writing fun for all. So I don't know about you, but I have gone through the process of seeing where writing can be frustrating, not just for my children, but also for me, when I was told to write in certain environments and using certain techniques. And so I want to be able to share this resource that can actually be used in both writing and in reading. But first I want to make a confession. I did not do any writing with my children the first 3 years of homeschooling. And I am so glad I did not focus on that. No, I spent those first 3 years really building the building blocks for language and reading, whether through phonics or just how to bring words together. And I can see why that was so important for me to do. Although in the beginning, I maybe questioned, were they getting it? Should they have gotten it? The only writing we did was copy work. So when they had to learn a word, I would put it in a sentence and they would copy or do dictation for sentences. And then those sort of kind of fill in the blanks. Sometimes they did those on our nature walks. Of course, they would have to write, but it was more like 1 word, 2 word phrases, not just sit down write. And I think that's critically important to tell you. And I know that that doesn't work necessarily for everybody. And so kudos if you found a writing program or some way that you are implementing writing that's working. But I really want to share something that has helped to transition my children into writing, and it has made it fun for all, me included. And so let's jump into some of those things. Okay, so first of all, when it comes to writing, some of the things that I want to say is that while you can have a flow that is engaging, it can be challenging, it can be technical, it can be exciting, and it can be creative. You don't have to have all that at once. So what I am learning is that when it comes to teaching my children, you can peel back layers at a time. And so that's what this resource has allowed me to do. So let me show it to you, okay? So these are writing prompt cubes, and they come in a set of 6, okay? And so if you'll look, I'll take a look at one of those. You'll notice that they have writing prompts on them on every side of the cube, okay? I allow them to roll the cube, and whatever it lands on is the focus of that writing. And these are super great because you don't have to come up with them yourself. This one says, the best trip I ever had was, one day I want to visit, I like dogs because the movie I like best is about, and so they're getting a combination of copy work because they're going to copy that as their beginning sentence, but then they get to use the right side of their brain, the creative, the imaginative, the artistic side, without all of the extra layers of it has to be spelled correctly, it has to be, technically a sentence, it has to be a full paragraph, it has to include this many descriptive words, it has to. All that is great, but all that doesn't have to happen at once. So I just give them the space to simply write. I set a timer. Sometimes they go into their own secluded places and they get the chance to just flow in their own thoughts and get it out. I tell them, don't worry about any of the technical things. Because I'll tell you how you can build those in from simply allowing them to have fun with their own thoughts. My 3-year-old, you may be asking, what is she doing? She rolls the die too, and she just depicts her story through visuals. So if you have a young one, if you have a toddler, and you're thinking they're not going to, stay still or be able to do it, give them a piece of paper. Let them choose a colorful background, and then they still get to read it. I think the one she did the other day has something to do with going to the beach. Yes, right here. It was, I went to the beach and saw, right? And so she could draw everything that she's seen when she went to the beach while the others are writing. So everybody can be involved in this process, okay? So then after the timer goes off, you tell them to go, complete their thought. Give them a chance to complete that last little thought that they had. And then we roll into presentations.
So you see the sun and the person, the tree, and my name.
Ooh.
I really love it. Any questions?
You get to see them be able to take ownership of the writing that they've done, which makes it even more exciting because they can hear themselves now speak out their thoughts. And so allowing them to present it, and this is a time where you could just cheer them on. You can note something that they did without you even asking, if they used a descriptive word or if they said something that stuck out that was just unusual about the story. Whatever that is, you give them the opportunity to get feedback. So how do we get to that other part of the brain, the kind of technical, logical side? So rather than allowing both these sides, the logical and technical writing side, to collide with the creative, artistic side, you build that on a different day. So another day they can go into, think about all these building blocks for writing now. They have all these prompts that they've done because they start their day kind of just getting their thoughts out and being creative. Excuse me. And then on another day, you have them to pull out one of their pieces. So now let's say the focus of today is going to be technical. Now we want to look at sentences and making sure that we had a complete thought. So maybe we're going to go through that same piece and we're going to find places where we can put a period. Or if it's a question mark, we've asked a question, we're going to find a place where we can mark up our writing. So now we are focusing on something technical, but I'm not layering that at the same time that I'm being creative. I'm now letting that be the purpose for the session. So now they are perfecting or improving upon their writing skills because they have a foundation first. Because my children, when they weren't writing, they got to build the understanding of parts of a sentence through just memory work, right? So they were learning about an infinitive. So now we can go back and we can rehearse what's an infinitive. And
It's
2 plus a verb. Used as a noun, adjective, or adverb. An infinitive is 2 plus a verb. Used as a noun, adjective, or adverb. But now we can pull out our writing piece. Did anyone use an infinitive in your writing? Go search for it. And they can search into their writing to see if they used an infinitive. And if they didn't, let's find a place where we can put one in. So, and if you said, if you could fly, I want to fly to the moon, right? To fly is the infinitive. Or maybe you've been working with your children on putting in a conjunction or compound sentences, or it does not really matter what age group you're talking about. Whatever area you're wanting to focus on from the technical perspective, you can take a piece that they've already done and now build that layer into the piece. And then maybe you come back another day and now we're going to focus on adding juicy descriptive words. And so you do a little mini lesson on what that looks like. And you've done that because you've been reading to them all this time and they've been able to point out good juicy words. And so you ask them to put one into their writing. So I hope you're getting to see that there is layers to writing where it doesn't have to be frustrating. And sometimes if you have a child that just says, I don't like writing, or you found yourself saying, I don't like writing, it may be that you got into a scenario where someone asked you to layer all of those pieces at once, and it brought in frustration. It brought in the I don't feel confident in this, or I don't feel like I understand the components enough to do it, so you just shut down. Well, this is a place where you can make it all come to life in layers, one thing at a time, and your children will thank you for it because they feel like they were able to own a piece for themselves, write with it from the perspective that they wanted to, and then add the components that improve us as good writers and still get all of that from that one layer in that one piece. I hope that makes sense. Drop me a comment in the discussion and let me know if that does, and if you can see yourself doing that. If you're already doing it through some other curriculum or program, I'd love to hear about it. So I wanted to leave you with the fact that you can do the same thing in reading. So they also have these learning cubes, and I will link them in the description box, as I always do, where you can find them. They also have these learning cubes for reading comprehension. So if you're trying to build reading comprehension into your learning, and you see your child struggling with that, then you can use these cubes to also set a purpose for reading. Find something that your child really is into. My son, we're going to pick up animal books. We're going to get those books from the library. We're going to purchase them. I'm going to surround his library with fiction and nonfiction on the topic of dinosaurs or dogs or things that he loves. Why? Because I can set a purpose for reading where our discussion can be very deep, and it can be energized by the fact that there's something that he loves to read. So I use these for read alouds, okay? So I know if I'm going to read aloud to them, I want to set a purpose so that we can begin to think as good readers. Well, we're the audience, and we're responding to the things that we're reading, okay? So this says, who are the main characters, okay? And so maybe that's something that we're going to do in our reading. This recently we did. Identify one problem or conflict in the story. So I would say this to them before we start, so we could talk about what's a problem again? What's a conflict? We can use our vocabulary. Okay, now when I read this to you, I want you to be listening to see if you can identify one that you hear in the story. There are probably millions, but I want you to come up with one. So we set this purpose for reading beforehand, and now I'm going to read them this exciting book that they're into because it's something that is of interest to them. And then we can have the rich discussion to build comprehension. And there are all sorts of ones. If you have kids that are at another level, summarizing stories. How does the story end? Let's see. Who is the illustrator? Some of your basic pre-reading questions when you're looking at a text and being able to break down the components of the text. It gives it all to you. It goes deeper, okay? Did the solution to one problem cause another problem? Now you're getting deep into analytical thought. So I want you to know that as you're building these skills in reading and building them in writing, you don't have to have this super duper 5-paragraph, 3-layer paper to see that your child can learn valuable skills. You can do it one layer at a time. So now when my daughter's reading that chapter book by herself that she loves to read, I don't have to go and ask her all these questions. Those questions become part of her script. So as she's reading, she's thinking about, what is this character doing? Is she moving me? Is this character making me think? Is this character exciting? What are the things that makes this story come to life? That those are the thoughts that are happening in their head without them even realizing it, because they've been exposed to it through these small layers. I sure hope that you are gaining something from this video. If you do, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and let me know what you think about it. You can tell I'm excited because I love being able to find tools that can help children on multiple levels, but yet not overwhelm them. So I hope this was fun for you, because it was sure fun for me to give it to you. I look forward to the next one, and thank you guys for watching. You have a blessed day. Mommy motivation.